Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. And in this one, we're going to talk about 3 more things that make no sense about the United States to me after living in Sweden for 10 years. So we're going to go into this. The last video was quite popular on this, so I hope everybody enjoys. Starting with number 1, how wasteful we are in America. And what I mean by this is how terrible our recycling is. In a recent article coming out, I found that only 5% of the plastic that you're actually trying to recycle in the United States actually gets recycled. And a lot of times we put all our recycling in like one bin. So it's like such a major issue to recycle. I always go back to the States and all I see are like trash cans. Like if you go to Europe, you're going to see like trash cans for trash cans for plastic, for bottles. And it's very well organized, and it's just the standard quote. You go anywhere and there's just recycling. Any building, they got recycling. But in the United States, it's trash. And then you do some recycling at home. You have one recycle bin. And here, we're one of the biggest contributors to the stuff in the environment, and this is just a really simple, easy thing to fix. And although maybe we don't need to recycle everything, I think when it comes to like aluminum, glass, then that makes the most sense to recycle. And another thing they do in Europe is it's really easy to just take an aluminum can and turn it back in. Every grocery store you can return your aluminum cans to and your plastic bottles to. And because of it's such an easy way to recycle, because you're already going to the grocery store, that Sweden, they do a great job. And in some cases, they're actually taking in other people's trash in a sense, if you will. They're doing such a good job of not being wasteful. Even food is what the buses are running on. And here's the thing in America, we had the capability to do it. I think this is a case where it's on a state-by-state basis. So maybe if you live in California, recycling might be a little bit better than if you're in Arizona, for example. And that might just be due to a lot of different factors. I think we need to do it on a national scale and actually take it seriously. Because 1, it's going to save us money in the long run being able to recycle things. And 2, it's just a no-brainer and it's good for the economy. And we need to have these recycling centers near every community. It's just the way to move forward. So that's number 1. Number 2 has to be cable news. I mean, one of the most interesting things I can say about America is we don't get a lot of news about the rest of the world. But we got like 3 24-hour news stations just talking about stuff going on in America. Now, I like the news. I like to learn things, but part of the problem with the news nowadays is it needs to be, the world is constantly like going to end. It's all these terrible stories that when you actually watch cable news, you just feel more terrible about the world. Well, who likes to watch cable news a lot? I mean, if you look when it comes to Fox News and a lot of other channels, it's mostly baby boomers and older that are consuming this news. So if you watch this news every single day, it starts to almost affect your negative health, your mental health in a negative way. And you suddenly start to get more and more political because so many news channels in the United States, not only is it cable news, but they're always backed by somebody. So like I think CNN's owned by billionaires. It always has like a liberal view. Fox News is owned by billionaires. It's got a conservative view. I would say MSNBC has a little bit of a left news. We're like in Sweden, yes, you can make some arguments that some of the news is skewed to the left, but when I watch the news for like report example on the television, I don't really get the sense that they're pushing one agenda over the next as much as it's just neutral. And in the US, you can maybe make an argument that like NPR would be neutral, but so much of it is just fueling the division in America right now. And just fueling so much negativity. You really don't need to have that many 24-hour news. And there's not that much news to talk about, right? So they're constantly talking about issues. If I'm watching Tucker Carlson every night on Fox News, and he's telling me that America is becoming a socialistic hellhole, and he's showing me examples of this each and every week, I'm going to start getting angry, right? And I'm going to start thinking that, hey, we're losing our country here, guys. I mean, everything is completely falling apart, and I'm going to start losing my mind over it. And they're just keeping you glued to the screen to keep, giving advertisements. It's the same with like Facebook or anything else. They just want to keep you engaged. They can keep you engaged if they make you angry. Anger is one of the biggest motivators when it comes to engagement. It's one of the major issues we're also having in the news industry when it comes to just clickbait articles, for example. Heck, I got to clickbait a little bit on YouTube sometimes just to get anything across. It's just the way it is nowadays. And I think that we would benefit from getting rid of these cable news stations and actually trying to have more neutral news, because people are getting their news from other sources, which usually just means baby boomers are reading stuff on Facebook, which is kind of scary. But yeah, that's kind of the situation for right now. And of course, it's not all baby boomers, but I'm just saying I'm shocked at the level of ones that are like, they're completely getting radicalized by stuff they're reading and watching on the news, because they're so convinced that CNN is fake news, and then they're so convinced that the news on the right isn't, and then vice versa. People on the left are the same, and then they have outrageous views on stuff as well. So it's kind of craziness right now. And then the third thing that makes absolutely no sense to me in the United States is the two-party political system. How are we going to have like over 300 million people in the States and two ideas to choose from? Two ideas. And so many of the ideas, you're on one side or on the other side. And you have to have very strong opinions on both. And you have to be very angry all the time. And the other person, they're a bad person. And, I can't tell you how many family members have like split apart, because it's always been a little bit divisive. But can you imagine what an America we would live in if we had like four major political parties? Like a far right, a right, a center party even, a left, and a far left. 5 parties. Boom. I just said it right there. 5. We should have at least 5. We shouldn't have like 2 parties having this much power where like if one party gets involved, like all these laws are going to massively change, and then vice versa, and then back and forth constantly all the time. It is destroying America. And then most of it is being funded by corporations. It's like we're fighting with each other, and corporations and big companies and billionaires are what's fueling American politics, and not actually what the people want. And what it did, the two-party system, was it made everybody feel disenfranchised. People stopped voting. A guy like Donald Trump came around, threw a monkey wrench through the system, and then we saw how dangerous and terrible things could have got. And now you see America kind of pushing back a little bit against Trumpism, and hopefully like democracy is going to come on the other side of it. But this is a direct result of the two-party system. People voted for Trump and were angry because two parties, nothing was changing. It was just the same thing each and every year. So I hope moving forward, more political parties can be formed. The problem is Republicans and Democrats, they never want to give up the power that they have. And in some cases, when we have presidential debates, they don't even let the third-party people speak. I think the last time a third-party political candidate actually spoke was Ross Perot. And I believe Ross Perot was the reason that Bill Clinton won at the time, because usually the third-party candidate does pull from the Republican Party. But I think it would maybe damage the Republican Party and other parties in the short term, but in the long term, it would be better for America. Because then you'd have like 4 groups of people that disagree, but it's no longer an us and them mentality. I mean, this is absolutely stupid. And I believe most Americans agree with this, but also they have strong opinions either way, so they're already so mad at the other party or vice versa. Like, stop, for crying out loud. Not everybody's the enemy. We just need better ideas. We need more ideas. And we need to stop drawing lines in the sand and saying, you're on this side or you're on that side. You're either a socialist or you want to destroy democracy. Like, imagine having those 2 choices, and then that's all you hear constantly. What that does to your mental health, what that does to how you see your neighbor. Oh my gosh, we got to stop looking at each other like the enemy and just look around and say, hey, we got to be doing a better job overall. And I'd rather vote for a Democratic candidate that has good ideas, or a Republican candidate that has good ideas, that doesn't focus on these inner struggles of us and them and tapping into that anger and hate. It's just ridiculous. So that's my 2 cents on these 2 issues. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. I would love to have you subscribe, because I'm very close to 16,000 subscribers, which would be cool to hit. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey,